On this episode of Inside Boxing Live, we have a huge pay-per-view card to preview. It is David Benavidez, Caleb Plant's finally here. We're kicking off fight season. A great card, top to bottom from Showtime. We'll also talk about this Jose Ramirez-Commey card that's also going to be on Saturday night over on ESPN. We got some unfortunate news with Inoue's injury, but don't be alarmed. The fight is still happening, and Dana White wants to enter boxing again. Let's go. What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Inside Boxing Live. This is a product of John Boy Media. I am Dan Canovio. He is the former WBO 140-pound world champion who is dressed to the nines for our show today. Not because he just came off the Pro Box set, because he wants to dress up real nice for Inside Boxing Live, because that's the type of guy he is. Chris Algieri, how are you?
You know, I'm turning over a new leaf. We've got a lot of big fights coming up, so I'm going to treat this like a big fight atmosphere and dress well moving forward.
It's fight season, Chris. It's opening day, opening week, Saturday night. We're kicking off fight season. Like, Yankees are right around the corner, MLB. We got March Madness in full swing. No, fight season. Boxing, big boxing is here. There's been some great fights this year already, but in our opinion, this is the biggest fight of the year so far, a grudge match. David Benavidez, Caleb Plant. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. It's a lot of interest around this fight, not only because it's a grudge match, but because it's actually a good fight and an important one for the landscape of the division. It's the winner has the potential to be in the running for the sweepstakes known as Canelo Alvarez, being the opponent of Canelo Alvarez and making tons of money. So yeah, no, this is a big fight for a number of reasons, and yeah, I'm as excited as you are.
I actually love this entire card. I think this is a really good pay-per-view offering from Showtime and PBC, top to bottom. Obviously, main event, Benavidez, Plant, high stakes, 168. Winner maybe gets Canelo, grudge match. Love that. Co-main, Chris Colbert, Jose Valenzuela. Love this fight. Two guys that are desperate. Both guys coming off of losses that want to get back into that 130-pound picture. That's a really good fight with a lot of stakes right there. Jesus Ramos versus Joey Spencer. This is like really good matchmaking. This is two guys that are on the same kind of trajectory, sink or swim type of fight. Who's real, who's not? We're going to find out when they get into the ring on Saturday night. And then Cody Crawley, who only knows fun, exciting fights, taking on Abel Ramos, who is probably one of the better gatekeepers in all of boxing. So this card, man, all four fights are compelling, which you really can't say a lot in boxing these days. So I'm looking forward to like being in front of my TV, like right at whatever time it starts. I think it's 9 p.m. Eastern. I like this card, like top to bottom. This is how it should be. Like, load up the pay-per-view with really compelling fights. Doesn't have to be big names, but as long as they're even fights.
Well, like you said, I mean, this is something that's kind of a rarity in the sport, which sucks, but it's especially rare for pay-per-views lately. Normally, pay-per-views, you got the top main event, and they're both super inflated price range guys. They're both getting paid so much money that the promoters are forced to fill the undercard with cheap fights, and cheap fights are usually not great fights. So we're getting a full card here, which is really, really refreshing, and hopefully is kind of the trend that we're going to have moving forward. Because, like you said, it is fight season. I love how you coined that last episode. But yeah, we're gonna be riding fight season throughout the next couple months up until we get that lull in the middle of the summer. But yeah, hopefully it goes in the trajectory that this fight's kicking off with, and we can just have a kick-ass year.
Oh, you're talking about that lull that we might get after like June 10th. I think June 10th is the last fight on the schedule that we know is happening. It's Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor. Inoue got injured. We don't know what injury it is. I think that's going to come out in the next few days, and I think we'll understand the scope of this. But the fight's postponed with Stephen Fulton. This was a kick in the nuts. But fear not, because Stephen Fulton tweeted out already, this fight is happening. We already have another date. So that leads me to believe that it's not that crazy of an injury for Inoue. But the silver lining in all this, you know me, optimistic Dan, I got to find some silver lining in this fight not happening May 7th. And that is, we talked about this on previous episodes, Chris, like sometimes the boxing schedule gets like cluttered and they put all the really good fights like in all the weeks in a row. And then by midsummer, where it's nothing, it's like a barren wasteland. So if they move this fight Inoue-Fulton to like say June or July, okay, Now we got something to look forward to in June or July. Yeah, I want it in May, but there's so many other good fights in and around April, May, June that if we get this in June or July, Inoue-Fulton, so be it. And then we have an even bigger fight. It's get its own spotlight, not mixed in, a couple hours after Canelo. That's my spin on it. Okay. All
Okay,
right.
two things, Dan. What do you want? Do you want the good news first or the bad news first? What do you want to do?
I'm a bad news first kind of guy.
Okay, cool. So you are optimistic, Dan. I am pessimistic, CA. I do not feel okay about this fight getting pushed back. It worries me because Stephen Fulton has been looking to move up in weight.
Yeah.
And the more time that it takes for this fight to occur, the harder it is for Fulton to make the weight. It maybe even become impossible to make the weight, maybe even pushing this fight off. I don't want to put that out into the ether, but it's banging on the back of my brain thinking about this fight not happening on May 7th. It's something that we wanted for such a long time. It's something that I was actually optimistic about happening. Now, I don't know, man. That's a whole wrench in the setup, and I'm feeling a little uneasy about it.
Okay,
hopefully my guts off.
Give me the good news.
Good news is that normally I would disagree that they're still not going to happen in June, July, because there's always that lull. But this is a fight that's happening in Japan. The Japanese season of boxing isn't like they don't follow any of the rules that we do over here. They can have a fight in early August. They don't care because Inoue is going to sell no matter what. And they don't really, I don't think they care that much about the market, the global market, as much as we do on this side. So yeah, that would be possible. And probably the best case scenario is that this fight ends up hitting right in the middle of summer. So we have some reason to stay up overnight and live stream with all you guys at home.
Yeah, that was our plan. I didn't want to
that would have been cool.
Here. We were planning on doing a live stream for Canelo Ryder, and then just either taking a quick cat nap, sleeping at the office, and then going right through to Inoue. But we'll still do that. But
I like that play on words too. Canelo Ryder, and then we're gonna ride it through to
straight through
the Inoue, straight through. Sleeping bags on the office floor.
Yeah, actually, Mike,
kegs and eggs, watching the fight.
Our tech guy, Mike, who is a casual boxing fan and learned about Inoue from us talking about him so much and listening to our fight preview. He was legit bummed today when I gave him the news. He was like, "Oh man," I was really looking forward to that. But to go back to your bad news part of it with Fulton, yes, that's something to be worried about. Obviously, a growing fighter who this is probably his last fight at 122. But the fact that he tweeted that out, the fact that he's like, "Everyone calm down, relax. This is his big money fight." We've talked about this so many times. He a few more months, a month or let's say 8 weeks added on. I know I've never had to make weight. It's easier said than done, but I think he knows what's at stake here in terms of the fight and what's at stake in terms of dollars in his bank account. So that's the latest. It's a gut punch, but if you're a boxing fan, you're used to these gut punches. At least it's not just canceled and kind of like how Charlo Zoo was, where we don't know when we're getting that fight. And then, Zoo had to move on. They're not moving on. They have a new date and we'll hopefully get that fight in midsummer. All right. So
more and more, it seems like this fight is happening because of Stephen Fulton. It seems like he really pushed to make this happen. He was moving out of the weight class, decided not to. He said he went to Al and said, "Make this fight. I want to fight this guy." He was the one who tweeted out today and was like, "Hey guys, chill out. Don't worry. It's still going to happen." So I like the driving force that Fulton's putting out there. And like you said, this is his money fight, and potentially his biggest money fight could be the rematch if he pulls off the win, because then he's going to get paid even more. That's I don't know. I'm thinking like a boxing entrepreneur. I'm thinking like a manager now. But
there you are. You're look at you. Look at how you're dressed. You roll up the sleeves there. You're basically Keith Connolly. You're Keith Connolly. You got better hair than Keith Connolly. Don't tell him I said that. You're a manager.
He listens to this, so he's going to hear that. And he's going to have
my guy. He's a good dude.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. So yeah, if he does win, he will get a lot more money. He'll be the A side, and all that. So let's get back to the Showtime pay-per-view this week. I guess let's start with some of the fights that are on this card. Cody Crawley, Abel Ramos. Crawley rated 3rd by the WBC. This is technically a WBC eliminator. I think this Cody Crawley's one of the I would title him as one of the better fighters that you really don't know a lot about. I know he's been featured on some PBC cards now, but he's really good, man. He throws a lot of punches. Last fight, close to 90 punches around. Beat Josecito Lopez. Obviously, Lopez is long in the tooth, but still impressive win. Two guys that are trending in opposite directions. Crawley trending up. Abel Ramos has lost 2 of his last 3, but it's still a tough out. I love this fight from like a crowd pleasing standpoint, and then hopefully Crawley can move up because we need some new blood in the welterweight division badly.
So, little known fact, I had Cody Crowley in my camp for Manny Pacquiao. Him and I have shared the ring quite a bit, sparred a ton.
Really?
I know, even
almost
you,
10 years ago.
Yeah, even you don't know about these things, Dan.
I know. I love, like, I don't know anything about sparring. Like, any sparring fact you give me, I'm going to say, wow, really? Because it's like the one thing fans don't know shit about. It's the one thing media thinks they know about, but they're never invited. It's like your guys' little, fraternity.
Yes.
It's like, oh, they spar with who? They spar with who? Like, I think it's the coolest thing.
It's one of the things that's helped me so much as a commentator, because I'm recently an active fighter. So I've worked, I know what everybody personally, I worked with so many of these guys. I've been in the ring with a lot of them. So I'm able to give little insights that no one else would be privy to. But Cody, very talented kid, very hardworking kid, very disciplined. I mean, he lives the life. I'll tell you all that. And I've stayed in touch with him since those years. And I actually helped him with a little bit of a visa issue that he had a couple years back.
All right, so now on top of being a manager, you're now like an immigration specialist.
I wouldn't say all that. Uncle Sam might be listening, but hopefully he does what he's supposed to do. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy to see him getting these opportunities and getting some recent big wins. And yeah, this is not an easy fight. Abel Ramos is a rough cat, and I keep thinking of the fight that he won in the very last seconds. Brian Perella, the good Brian Perella, who is a good fighter himself, very dangerous guy, good puncher. Another guy that I sparred with, I had him in camp for Spence, and and Abel Ramos was able to starch him in the last final seconds of a fight that he was very much losing. So a very dangerous guy, big step up in class for Cody Crowley. But happy to see that he's getting on these big cards and getting these name fighters. Yeah,
Perella was in February of 2020. Like you said, that was on the Plant Nashville fights, and then he split decision, went the distance with Ugas. One judge had him winning that one. Beat Omar Figueroa, lost to Luke Santamaria. But yeah, like tough out. Crawley. This story is about Crawley in this fight. It's like this guy wants to climb up. And he wants to. I watched some interviews with him a couple of days ago. Like he's hungry. Like you can just tell. Like
I'm hungry, motivated, disciplined.
Yeah, I was like watching this video. I was like, yo, I live, eat, and breathe boxing, but I really don't know much about this guy. But I want to learn more about it because he seems like he's like very like. I feel like he'd be a good interview, like good for the sport, like some new fresh blood. And I think has an exciting fighting style. So that's the first fight of the night, or I don't know what the actual order is, but that would be one of the fights you're going to get on the Showtime pay-per-view. Jesus Ramos taking on Joey Spencer. This is really interesting to me. I was kind of shocked to see this matchmaking. Shocked and not shocked, because Spencer, I feel like, has been like the PBC's darling. Like they put him on all these huge fight cards. A lot of fans boxing fans are brutal. They'll just be like, this guy doesn't deserve this platform. He doesn't deserve this spot. PBC's force feeding this guy down our throats. Like I don't think he's that great, but he is improving. What are your thoughts on Spencer?
So more inside boxing knowledge. Little known fact. I've been helping. I've helped Joey Spencer and his father with his diet, nutrition, and training for a couple of years now. I met them when we were training over in the Bay Area. We were training. It was Danny Jacobs and I. No.
That even exist anymore?
No, that Balco is super defunct and illegal. Very
that
illegal.
was like the Barry Bonds clean, the cream and
Jay
the
Mosley.
clear.
That was it was bad stuff. That's snack now. That's what happens. You go to jail for a little bit. You pay some fines. You just change the name and you do the same
Victor
stuff.
Conti, who is now like supposed to be like the voice of clean fighting. Meanwhile, this guy was like the most notorious steroid supplier of the baseball has ever seen. Love boxing.
Gotta love boxing. Wild West. But so I met Joey Spencer. We were out there in the Bay Area, and his father, and he's great kid, super dedicated. They treat his training like a real athlete. I was very very impressed. So and he's young, super young. So this is a big step up, and
23?
Yeah, people who are talking trash about him, you got to understand how young this guy is. I always forgot too, because he doesn't look it. He doesn't look quite that young. He does a baby face, but he's got the physicality of a much more mature man.
But you know what I mean? Like, I don't mean I mean that like the PBC was pushing him along, like putting him on those cards is like counterintuitive. I feel like it's like a double-edged sword. Like he's getting great exposure, but he's also could potentially getting exposed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, wait, why is this guy on first fight of the night on a huge card? Like, who is this guy? And he's not knocking guys out left and right.
But yeah, that's boxing. What
Exactly.
if Lou DiBella has a signed fighter and he owes him a certain amount of X fights a year, you got to put him somewhere. You're going to put him on the cards that you have, and that's just part of the business of the sport, which a lot of fans don't understand. It's not all just entertainment value and making the best fights. It's, you still got to live up to your contractual obligations. So, but this is beyond that. This is an actual real fight, a crossroads fight. I like putting young guys in tough. I almost like the UFC model where it's like, we don't do easy fights. We fight. I didn't have easy fights. I fought a lot of really tough guys back to back to back. So I like it. It's sink or swim. That's a perfect way to put it, like you said. And this is one of those. This is that prospect matchup that every one of us has in our careers on our way to a title fight. So yeah, I'm more power to it. Let's go.
Yeah, I think Jesus Ramos is ahead of Spencer in terms of like development.
Yeah.
Both guys undefeated. Ramos 19-0, 15 knockouts. Spencer 16-0, 10 knockouts. Ramos 22 years old. Spencer will turn 23 the day before the fight. This is awesome.
All right, so technically he's 22 right now.
Yeah, this is great. Love this fight. Ramos is a stud. Has got wins over Luke Santamaria, Brian Mendoza, who is fighting Sebastian Fundora in a few weeks. Javier Molina. He has tougher competition than Spencer. And I'm a little shocked. DraftKings, I have the app open here. Spencer is a plus 170 in this fight. So actually, I'm not shocked by that. Why would I be shocked by that? Ramos is the favorite. Ramos is a minus 220 favorite. Pretty close.
Yeah, I would expect him to be the favorite, but yeah, it's close, and it's a winnable fight for both men. This is one of those. This is it's pretty much a pick 'em fight. I think a lot of people would lean towards Ramos, but I would not count out the Spencers.
I think I'm gonna go Ramos. I gotta put in a parlay this week. Ramos, and I like the over in the main event. Caleb Plant. And
what is the round?
9.5.
Ooh, well, my prediction. I said it on here, and I picked the round. I didn't pick the under over. I've already said it on the past show.
We want people to listen to the full episode. Actually, it actually doesn't matter. It's not like radio where you have to stay on. Like if you download this episode, we're all good. That's some inside producing of podcasts. But let's not give it away just
Don't
yet.
give all the secrets away.
Yeah,
come on, let's keep a little bit of the mystery.
But if you do Ramos money line and the over 9.5, that's a plus 166 parlay right now. It's like okay odds. That's not my official parlay. That'll come out Friday or Saturday on my socials. So keep it locked. I'm on a hot streak. I'm on a hot streak, by the way. Back, baby. Let everyone know that I'm back.
I'll tell everybody over here.
We're on the Pro Box set.
I'll tell Tampa that Dan Canobio is locked.
Yeah, go outside, yell it out.
Locked, loaded.
No, I'm not loaded. Just locked.
Well, I mean, if you win, you'll be loaded after the weekend.
Yeah,
I'm up. Isn't that how betting works? I'm not really a betting guy, but yeah.
I am afraid, I've been winning all my bets, and I think there's probably a math to it. Like you're supposed to increase your bets if you keep winning, but I just keep putting 50 down every bet, and just and slowly building like a nice little nest.
You and my brother need to hook up and talk about how not good at betting you both are.
No, I'm good at betting.
No, I mean, but in terms of the numbers and what you're supposed to do.
I don't want to be awesome at it. Like there's no such thing as a really, really good gambler.
That sounds like loser talk to me.
But it's true though. I don't want to know.
I'm pushing your vice. I'm like, come on. Come on.
Just dabbling. I like dabbling here and there.
That's why I want to hook you and my brother, because my brother's the same way. $50 here, $100 here. Right. Hey, what do you think about this? Yeah.
There is a way, you increments, where you build up to bigger bets, but I haven't gotten there yet. Let's see what else is on this card. I'm missing one. Jesus Ramos, Joey Spencer, Cody Crawley, Abel Ramos.
Primetime. Our boy
Prime time.
Yep, Chris
Don't
Colbert.
call me B-Hop. Chris Colbert versus Jose Valenzuela. Chris Colbert, the last time we saw Chris Colbert, he was fighting Hector Luis Garcia, who just
Very
lost
good
to
fighter.
Tank. But at the end of that fight, I've never seen this in all my years of watching fights. Colbert knew he was losing. He knew he was going to lose the fight. He ran like in a loss. Have you ever seen that, Chris? Like I've seen fighters cruise to a win. Like they know they won the fight, so they don't want to get caught with something. He knew he was going to lose. Didn't want to get caught with something, potentially get even like more hurt. So he ran in a loss. I've never seen that, and I can't get over it.
I mean, he's protecting his moneymaker, his brain, his body, his image. I mean, probably didn't do a whole lot for his image in a positive way, but getting knocked out, getting stopped isn't a good thing for anyone's career unless you're going out in your shield. But listen, everybody's got a different mindset. So it's not really my mindset. I'm always looking to try and win and scrap, and I'll go out on my shield, and I've done it before. But listen, everyone's got their own mindset. I can never. You don't know what he was thinking then. You don't know what kind of injuries he could have been dealing with. But he's back. I'm happy he's back. I'm a big fan of Chris Colbert. I like his new name, Prime Time, and he always puts on exciting fights. So this is a good fight for him. It's a tough fight because Valenzuela he's another guy. They're both hungry. They're both hungry young guys coming off losses, a lot to prove. I think they both made big adjustments in their training camps and their preparations for this fight. And I don't know. I don't think you can base their past performances on what we're going to see come Saturday night. And that's what makes it that much more intriguing.
Yeah, I've never seen a fighter like do that, and like I just said, but he was pretty frank about it afterwards. Like some of the interviews I've watched and read of him in the lead up to this fight, it's like he was pretty much admitted to it. Yeah, I wasn't gonna win. I was off that night. Something felt off in my body, so I want to live to fight another day. So I literally just got on my bike and made it to the final round, which is nuts. I mean, at least they admitted it. They didn't run away from it. This guy was on the trajectory. He was supposed to get the Tank fight. So Hector Luis Garcia.
Well, yeah, he was interim champ. Yeah.
Yeah, Hector Luis Garcia was a massive underdog in that fight. He's now the 130-pound champ. He had a great year last year, Hector Garcia, and he ends up getting a huge payday to fight Tank. This was supposed to be the guy, Chris Colbert. PBC had big plans for him. He's a big personality. He was headlining fights for a while. But then he has that loss. So like you said, he's got to get back into that win column, and I'm sure he's kicking himself because he could have got that Tank fight, like a Tank Chris Colbert fight. I mean, that would have done huge business, or bigger business than the Garcia fight, I think.
And Colbert was calling for that fight as well. He wanted that Tank fight, and Colbert's called out everybody anywhere around his weight class, which is what you want to see from a young fighter. But and like I said, it's good for him to be back. I'm happy. It's good to see New York guys who are getting these big opportunities. But yeah, I mean listen, that's boxing, man. You're right here. But it takes a marathon to get here.
Yeah.
And then it's so hard to do that extra. It's just that's what boxing is. Boxing is a marathon, but every inch counts. So he got there. He was just about the brass ring. He faltered, but now he's back and he's got another opportunity. Good thing he's super young, so he's got another marathon in him. Hopefully,
you can say the same thing about Jose Valenzuela. Not as big as a prospect of Chris Colbert. But definitely someone that was on that trajectory, big plans for him. And he gets absolutely ran over by Edwin de los Santos, who was a really hard hitting Dominican fighter. And that was September of 2022. That was on the Luis Ortiz, Andy Ruiz card. That was a shocker. This is another guy they were talking about in Valenzuela for potential Tank Davis fight. That Tank Davis fight was the January fight. That was pretty much known. He's going to fight in January before he fights Ryan Garcia. Who's it going to be? Ends up being Hector Luis Garcia, not Chris Colbert, not Jose Valenzuela. But
it also introduced us to Hector Luis Garcia, who has turned out to be a very good fighter. And I think
meritocracy does exist sometimes.
Sometimes it worked out for me in my career. I beat the guy who's supposed to fight the guy, so I got the fight. And it works out sometimes.
You beat Provodnikov, so then you get.
No, I beat Taylor. I beat Taylor, who was number 3 in the world at WBO, who was slated to fight Provodnikov. I beat him, so then I got the Provodnikov fight. Provodnikov was supposed to fight Pacquiao. I beat Provodnikov, so I got the Pacquiao fight. And then I was fighting Amir Khan, and because the winner was supposed to get Floyd Mayweather, and God. I know it was that was one of those. That was one of those marathon, and Khan didn't get the fight because he didn't look good in the fight against me, and most people had me winning the fight anyway. So they weren't going to give him a Mayweather fight that he had been calling for years, based off the performance where most people thought he lost.
Wait, so after you fought Khan, was that when Floyd put out like the fake poll? He said the fans were going to decide who I'm going to fight next, and Khan was on it, and like everyone voted for Khan because he's got a whole freaking country behind him, and like 2 countries behind him technically, and Floyd still didn't give him the fight.
I don't remember the timeline of when that was.
Yeah, me neither.
I was pretty dejected after that fight. I stayed off of social media and boxing in general for a couple months after that one.
I remember watching that at an airport bar. Your fight with Khan on Spike.
When I watch it, I don't watch it as if it's myself, which is how I watch all of my fights. So I still enjoy watching the fight. But those scorecards haunt me. 116, 111 is
It was
disgusting.
in New York too, right?
Yeah, but Khan's Khan's family is very, very represented in New York.
Of course. Got a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. All right, let's move on. Cause I'm getting like secondhand pissed that you should have won that.
Yeah, I'm bummed.
No, I don't want to. I got to keep the flow going here. We got to keep the vibes high.
Things are good. Things are good. No,
yeah, we're fine.
Chris
we're
Algieri's life is doing great.
Yeah, we're rolling, baby. Main event. Benavidez Plant. Go check out. Not yet, but on Friday we have our extensive preview. In studio.
Super psyched about these.
Mano a mano. My Jeff was editing it today. Another guy at John Boy Media put some cool touches on it, some footage, some photos. They look awesome. So check that out. So you have like double end Plant Benavidez preview. I'm excited for this fight, man. I am really pumped for this one. Kicking off the big fight. I haven't had a big fight in a while. Like, yeah, it's not a super fight, but like this is a fight where like we've been wanting this one for like 3-4 years now. Bad blood. 168. I feel like it's just been a division of just like sit around and wait for Canelo. Like, no, these 2 guys are gonna fight, and they can very well much like fight Canelo. Like for Plant, it could be a rematch. For Benavidez, he has a legitimate case now to say, I deserve a fight with Canelo Alvarez. You always said that I gotta beat someone. They always bringing up my resume. Well, I just beat Caleb Plant as a former world champ. I love this fight for so many different reasons. Yeah,
I mean, you put it great, and one reason that you didn't mention is just the styles. It's a boxer versus it's a boxer versus a pressure puncher. And Benavidez is not a one-punch guy. He's not that guy who's just kind of load up. He's not a Tank Davis. He throws a ton of punches. He lets his hands go. He puts nonstop pressure. He is constantly coming forward, coming at you. He gets hit and smiles at you and keeps on coming. Plant, who's kind of being seen more as a boxer puncher these days, based solely on the knockout of 38-year-old Anthony Durrell, which I don't necessarily classify him as a boxer puncher as much as he is a boxer. And I think he's gonna have to use his boxing in this fight. But yeah, I mean, the styles are awesome. It's one of those fights, and generally I will go with the boxer in these kind of matchups, but we'll get into who we think is going to win in a little bit.
Yeah, Benavidez, a beast. I mean, you have 2 eyes and you watch boxing, you know this guy can fill it up offensively. He's top 10 in basically every category. He's number 1 in total connect percentage. He's number 3 in power connect percentage at 46%. He's number 3 in jab connect percentage. He's number 4 in just total punches landed per round. He's number 4 in plus minus. It's plus 16.7. Lands the fifth most jabs per round in all of boxing, close to 7 jabs a round, and lands 19 power shots around, which ranks 8th. I mean, beast. He's a beast.
He's a nightmare. He's a nightmare is what he is. Beast is one thing. He's a nightmare. To be stuck trapped in a ring with that guy, who's first of all, he's huge for the weight class. He's really big. He's tall. He's long. He's heavy. Throws a ton of punches, like you said. All those stats you just gave. I mean, you feel that. You feel everything you just said. On out all the time, copy box doesn't always directly correlate to what you see, but he's one of those guys where it does. You can tell that he's accurate. He throws a jab. He throws combinations. He lets his hands go. He's very precise. And his offense is really his defense. He just walks forward and throws a ton of punches. And just looks to beat you up. He's a mugger. Like it's a really, really tough style to deal with. He's a nightmare to be in the ring with.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like he has one punch knockout power, but he's more of like he'll wear you down. But like everything he throws is hard. Even his jab, like he's got such a good IQ in there. He's been doing this for such a long time, like legit a lifer. I seen him fight up close. It's really something to see up close. Which fight was I at? A Durrell fight. That was on under the co-main for the Spence versus Porter fight. And he just like systematically just broke Durrell down. This was like a couple of years ago, so Durrell was still somewhat in his prime. So that's Benavidez. Obviously, Plant, you know what Plant is. He's a slickster. Still pretty good too in terms of power. Like 38% of his power shots. He got that big one punch knockout over Durrell. But that was a close fight up until that point. Like he finds himself in a lot of close fights, Plant, because he doesn't have the one punch power to keep guys off of him. And I think that's going to be the case in this fight. The interesting thing in this fight that I want to see is, can Caleb Plant slow down Benavidez? Benavidez throws a shit ton of punches around. We just went over his offensive numbers. Plant is going to have to find ways to slow down Benavidez, get it down to his pace, which is like 45 punches around. If he can get it down to that, if he can slow it down, then he can find himself looking at a W. If not, he's not going to go toe to toe with Benavidez. That would be silly.
Yeah, so I want to push back a little bit. Yeah. I don't think it's the one punch power that he needs to keep the guys off him. Like you said, I agree with you that that's one of his big issues, and is keeping guys off him. That's why he gets in these closer fights. I think it's more his physicality. He's not physical with his body. If you're a boxer, you've got to be physically strong to be able to use your body and move guys off you. Even like a Pernell Whitaker, who wasn't a puncher. He couldn't really punch. He wasn't power, but he was physically strong. He had very strong legs. He'd get really low. He'd get under guys. He used to pick guys up all the time. He was a physically strong guy. So even if you're not a puncher, you've got to have that physicality to keep a guy off you. I don't see that from Plant. And especially with a guy like Benavidez, I don't think Plant has any other choice but to now use power to keep Benavidez off him. He's going to have to hit him with something early to deter Benavidez from literally walking through everything he throws, the way that a la Canelo Alvarez did. Canelo was not worried about anything coming his way when Plant was throwing at him. Partly was because Plant didn't really stop moving to throw any power punches. But with Benavidez, he is going to have to stand his ground. He is going to have to trade at times. But he's got to be smart. He's quicker, he's faster on foot and with hands. He's got to land big shots and then move. So he's got to stop, plant, bang, bang. Plant needs to plant. Bang, bang. He's double left hooks very good. He goes low body and to the head. And Benavidez gets hit.
He does.
So early on, look out. Look out for Plant. He's going to land a left hook. We just need to see how Benavidez reacts. If he can get Benavidez to blink and take a half step back, we got a whole different fight than what I think is going to happen.
I love that.
If he does what he did to Durrell, in which he gets cracked with a big left hook trading, bang, and then smiles at you and comes forward, it's going to be a rough night for Caleb Plant.
That's what I remember about the Durrell Benavidez fight when I was there ringside. It's like he was getting hit, like especially out of the clinch. Durrell was roughing it up, and I think Durrell's a little more physical than Plant. And like
definitely.
Benavidez, like he was just, like you said, like laughing it off, and like I feel like he was never in any form of trouble in that fight with Durrell, and it was still like a bloody fight.
And Durrell's a good puncher, like you say, he's a physical guy. He's rough. He's actually
2019 too. This is 4 years ago. So
right.
Durrell was still like not the
34.
same Durrell that we saw.
Sub 35.
Yeah, not the same Durrell we saw Plant take out. I'm interested. I can't wait for this fight. I don't think Benavidez has fought anyone as good as Plant. So I look at some pushback on Benavidez. I feel like, I'm using this term because I just can't think of another one right this second. Like he's a bully in the ring. Like he's a bully with the weight. Like he's a bully in the ring where he just overpowers guys. Like I haven't seen much pushback. I'm hoping Plant can offer something because I want to see Benavidez kind of push. I'm going to see him maybe in a little bit of trouble. Like, will that happen? We'll see. And like you said, it's going to have to be early, right? Like Plant's got to they got to get his attention early because, if you let Benavidez, like a bully, you let a bully keep going, like eventually he's going to get comfortable in there.
Well, Benavidez is a momentum fighter. If you give him momentum, it's too late. it's way too late. And that's one of the things that I think the skill set of Plant gives him the ability to not get behind that 8 ball. If he can stay light in his feet and he can keep Benavidez off balance and he can keep cutting angles and keep moving and lateral moving, because Benavidez is not the best guy cutting off the ring. He follows a lot, follows and walks into shots. So there is that. I see a way to win based on what gifts and talents that Caleb Plant has. It's just, is he going to be able to execute it? And is he going to be able to not, I mean, keep the pace up? Because that's really what it is. He's going to have to work really hard to keep Benavidez off him. He's going to have to use lateral movement. He's going to have to use in and out. He's going to have to use height changes. He's got to use every dimension in order to keep Benavidez off balance. And I'm just not sure that he can keep that up for 12 rounds.
I'm going to tell you that Caleb Plant, me and Caleb had another Twitter interaction.
I did not hear about that.
This time it was off the DM. He shot me a DM because
that's where it goes down. I hear it goes down in the DMs.
Yeah, it's supposed to stay out of the DMs. I'm at work. I'm just minding my business, making content. I put out this photo, the 9 best defenders in boxing according to opponent's connect percentage. Bivol, Shakur, Boo Boo, Loma, Regis Prograis, Ioka, Valdez, Lara, Inoue. Those are the top 9. And Plant DM me. He's like, "Hey, I love your stuff. I love your content. I love numbers." He goes, "I've always been infatuated with punch stats since I was a kid. I'm wondering where do I land on this?" And I told him you 22.3%, which is really good. I mean, he's probably top 15, number 1 at 168. He's the best defender at 168. And he has the best jab percentage at 168. And like you said, like sometimes the stats don't tell everything, but sometimes they do. Like if you think of Caleb Plant, you think of a guy that has a really good jab and is a good defender. He's slippery and he's got a good jab. So me and Plant are best friends.
That's cool. That's cool. You got some more famous friends. You were saying that you said this earlier in the show about his power punching. His power punching comes off his jab. That's why his power punching percentage is so high, because he does have an excellent jab, and he throws a very varied jab. He's a very educated left hand where he changes the kinds of jabs that he throws. And people at home are like, "What the hell is he talking about? There's a jab." Wait, no, you're right. There's countless jabs. Countless jabs. Anyone who knows anything really about the nuances of boxing knows there's a lot of different kinds of jabs, and that's one of the best weapons in Caleb Plant's arsenal is his varied jab. So it's boxing IQ comes with education, obviously. So he's got an educated left hand.
I heard it's like a pitcher. A good pitcher changes their speed.
Yeah,
changes their pitch. You can't throw a fastball 95 every time. A major league hitter will eventually catch up to it and time it. Like you can throw different types of jabs. Like a pitcher throws a different type of fastball, 2-seam, 4-seam, sinker. So that's how I was always told. I think Paulie, your guy Paulie, would always say that on Showtime. He would always talk about. He would always pick up on guys that are throwing at the same speed, and that becomes easy to time. I think with Plant's crafty. Like he wasn't blessed with that one punch power. So he's got to do it in other ways. I'm really like excited for this fight. The more we keep sitting here talking about it, can't wait.
I can't wait till our preview comes out. I think you guys are really going to enjoy that at home. So make sure you tune in.
Yeah. What other shows giving you 2 previews? Not many.
No, I don't. No. This is there's a reason you guys are listening. We're good at this.
DraftKings has Plant as a plus 240 underdog. That seems about right. Over under set at 9.5. I'm leaning towards the over in that. I do think Benavidez is going to win late. That's going to be sweating that one out if I do go with that one. Benavidez by decision is plus money. I don't think a lot of people are picking that. I think a lot of people are. Most of the money is on Benavidez in this fight, but not by decision. They're picking him by KO. That's why it's minus 145. No one is picking Plant by knockout. That's plus 650. Plant by decision plus 450. That's interesting. That's interesting to me. If you think Plant can outbox Benavidez, which I think is the only way for Plant to win, right? The only way Plant wins this fight is if he wins a decision. And if you're confident in Plant and you think that Benavidez is a little overrated, you could win some money. But you don't believe so. You have a Nostradamus type prediction, right? You have an exact round.
Yes, I like Plant. I like his style. I like the way he boxes. And generally, when we have matchups like this, like I said, when you have a boxer versus quote unquote puncher, I pick the boxer. I think that at the highest level, when you have those kind of matchups, the boxer finds a way to win. But this fight's different because Benavidez isn't a traditional puncher. He's a volume puncher, pressure fighter. And from what I've seen in the past from Caleb Plant, it makes me think of the Uzakate fight. It makes me think of the Canelo fight, that he tends to fade the second half of the fight. And fading with a guy who's a momentum guy, I just think it's the matchup in terms of their trajectories of how their fights go and end doesn't really bode well for Plant. And but then there's the argument about well, he won the Uzakate fight. He started super strong. He knocked the guy down. He boxed really well in the middle rounds and had to hold on a little bit at the end. And the fight was a little closer than you would have expected if you watched the first 6 rounds.
Right.
That's how I could see him winning this fight with Benavidez. Like I said, if he hurts Benavidez early, because I think he's going to win the early rounds, Caleb Plant. I think he's going to be too slick. He's going to use a lot of energy to keep Benavidez off him. He's going to keep him off him. Benavidez is also a slow starter. If he can put some hurt on him, and I think it'll be the left hook that will be the shot. If he can hit that double left hook, especially the body head, which everyone knows that, you just talk about the Durrell fight. No. He did the same thing in the Uzakate fight. He dropped him with that too. It's one of his better combinations. Left hook to the body, left hook to the head. It's a fundamentally sound combination that everyone learns in the gym early on, and Plant does it beautifully. If he can land that kind of punch and get respect from Benavidez, maybe hurt him. If not hurt him, at least get respect, which will extend how many more rounds he can put in the bank going into the second half of the fight. I could see him pulling it off and getting a decision victory, but I think he's gonna have to go through hell those last couple rounds. But he's got a lot of ground that he needs to bank leading into that second half. But ultimately, I don't think that's gonna happen this fight. I got Benavidez by stoppage in round 9.
Oh no.
I know, buddy. That's why when you told me the 9.5, I was like, oof, nope, we're going against each other. We're going head to head once again.
I gotta think about that. I haven't put it down yet, but I think Benavidez will win. It's just a matter of when. If he comes out like he came out in those press conferences, he's pretty pissed.
He's fired up.
He's fired up. So maybe we'll see.
But he fights like that too. It's not like someone who's pumping their chest and they're going to go out there and not perform. That's the way he fights. He comes out hard. He pushes, and he gets bigger and stronger as fights go on, which you don't see a lot of that. I mean, it's a very impressive style.
Right. We got one guy in Plant who has already reached the mountaintop, and the mountaintop is the Canelo fight. And you got one guy that's like, as much as he says I don't care if I get a Canelo fight, I'm done calling for it. He wants that Canelo fight. He wants that money. That's the reason why he's still at 168, killing himself to make the weight. That's another interesting aspect of this fight. Love it. It's Showtime pay-per-view this weekend over in Las Vegas. Also, quickly, Jose Ramirez, Richard-Commey. Are you giving Commey a shot? And this was a weird fight. Obviously, Ramirez was supposed to fight for the title, supposed to fight Prograis, and decided the money wasn't right with the split. Turned down a title fight before that to get married. Interesting. Can't fault him. I mean, it's his life. But now he's fighting Richard-Commey in his hometown, and he does sell a lot of tickets, but still not a title fight. Weird fight, but a fun fight.
Fun fight. And do I give Commey a shot? Yes, because he's got a shot. The guy can punch. I've been hit by Commey many times in sparring, and the guy can really punch, especially with the right hand. But he's got a good hard jab too, and his left hook ain't too shabby either. So the guy can punch. The issue for me is the weight class. Is that Ramirez is a big 140, and Commey has done his best work at 135. He's moved up to 40. He fought Pedraza, who's not a real 40-pounder either. Fought a very, very good fight in that fight, ended up in a draw. But 140 is a different weight class than the 135s. So if that punch survives into the 140s, will it be enough to hurt the generally iron-chinned Ramirez, who is a very, very durable guy? Now, call into question the weight again. Ramirez is a big 140. I know he struggled to make weight in the past. I can't assume he's not going to struggle to make weight now, a couple years later. Yeah. So there's that too. So do you take into account that Ramirez may be sweating down to 140 at this point, and it might weaken him? Then you've got Commey, who's not sweating down, has that strength, that physicality. He's got that punch. So yes, there is a shot for Commey to win.
Comey's a plus 500 underdog. It's a pretty sizable.
That's favorite. A big underdog now.
Yeah, Ramirez is a big.
It's favorite. A puncher's chance at that point.
Minus 900. I think that's kind of wide. Like only because I think Ramirez obviously has a good pedigree, and obviously he's a former world champion. But he has such up and down performances. He's had so many performances where I'm waiting for that like second gear, and you never get it. Where he
I
fights
think it's the
down.
weight.
Right, he fights down to his competition a lot. Like bring up the weight. Now he's getting up there in age and in terms of trying to make 140. I think Ramirez will win this one. I don't feel like I wouldn't touch this one in terms of gambling on it. Maybe the over. Over's
It's
10
not a
and a half.
safe bet.
Over's
Not a
10 and
safe
a half.
bet.
You think he's
Right.
gonna knock? You think he could knock out Comey?
Do I think he can? Yes. Do I think he will? I don't think so. Because one thing that
So let's take the over. Over 10 and a half is a decent play.
yeah, but I was thinking in terms of betting the underdog, but it's,
No,
it's
I'm
not
not gonna
really
touch that.
not really a safe bet. Ramirez is a very good body puncher, and I haven't really seen anyone target Comey to the body. And I think especially that's because he's a dangerous puncher. So when you got a guy who can really sling right hands, it's a risk going down to the body. So we'll see if Ramirez being such a good body puncher and also being so busy with his lead hand. Guys who are busy with lead hands, there's more opportunities for your opponent's right hands. And Comey is a right-handed puncher. So there are opportunities for Comey to land that shot. I'm just wondering if that 135-pound power is going to show up at 140 with a guy like Ramirez, who's been sturdy.
He's been pretty sturdy. Sinisa Estrada is also on this card. She's looking to get a title shot. Lawrence Okoli also fighting this weekend. I think you can get it over on ProBox. I just saw something on social media. International.
Yeah, we actually spoke to him today. We had an interview with Lawrence Okoli, and
Nice.
he had all the right answers. And
Cruiserweight, right?
Yeah, cruiserweight, WBO world champion. He sounds like a champion. I've interviewed Lawrence before. Smart guy, very well spoken, thoughtful guy, very thoughtful guy too. But I have the feeling that he's no, I don't have the feeling. I saw it. I heard it. He has the presence of a champion now.
Nice.
You know, and when I talked to him last time, it was before the pandemic or during the pandemic, and he wasn't the champion yet, and now he is. And yeah, he's wearing the crown, and he wants to go out and put on a big performance. And don't be surprised if he goes for it early, and as he was kind of alluding to in the interview. But hey, listen, David Light is a tough, strong guy. He's pretty sturdy, comes forward, but yeah, I think it'll be a good fun fight. I like cruiserweights. They still got fast hands and they can punch.
Cruiserweight's fun. Not a lot of big names at cruiser.
No,
Jay
it's a springboard.
Yeah, Jay Alpatai is the ring in IBF. He burst onto the scene, Australian guy, huge upset. He beat Breedis. And you got Okoli. You got Breedis. I don't know what his deal is. Dorticos has been in that Badu Jack, who won a title. So
yeah,
I don't know
a resurging Badu Jack.
Right. So I don't know what the money fight is for Okoli at cruiser. Probably the Opatai fight. To kind of consolidate the belts. And then Badu Jack's got the last one. Interesting. Fun little weekend. A lot of fights this weekend. Lastly, we'll end with this. This wasn't in the rundown at all until I saw it on Twitter right before we recorded.
You throwing change-ups on me, bro?
Yeah,
we talked about change-up. We're talking about change-ups. Now you're throwing curveballs and change-ups. This guy.
You see my curveball out on the JM warehouse. It's pretty nasty. Dana White, once again, is trying to get into boxing. I thought he was done with that. His last time he tried was 2017 with the Zuffa stuff. Like he was talking about, it was up during the Mayweather McGregor lead up. Everyone he could talk to was, I'm going to get into boxing. I'm going to get into boxing. Never got into it. And then he said, oh, I looked into it and no, the sport's so messed up. I don't want any part of it. That was what he said, but it really was like he has no way in. He has no control. There's no fighters. He can't pay them small fee purses. He has, like I said, no control like he does in the UFC. So now, after like 3 years of saying boxing's a mess, they can't make the good fights. His quote was even annoying. His quote was, "I think I can make the fights the fans want to see for a change." Like, bro, like we're in the middle of fight season. You're not paying attention. Like, there's plenty of fights being made. The last thing boxing needs is another promoter. We need less promoters. This Dana White has done great things for UFC. He has really not done good things when he's kind of veered out and ventured out from the UFC, i.e. Power Slap. So I think it's hilarious. Not to mention, he can't even make the best heavyweight fight in his own company. Why isn't John Jones fighting Francis Ngannou? Like, what the hell is going on here? That was a fight that everyone wanted to see, and you let it slip away. Like, give me a break. That's all I gotta say.
Well, like you said, he said he's gonna make the fights that the fans want to see. Guess what? We're boxing. You got to pay us.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why Ngannou left. Ngannou left because he's like, hey man, I'm the heavyweight champion of the world. Like, you got to pay me, bro. Like, this is I'm in a new tax bracket now. You don't want to pay me? Cool. I'm gonna go over there. So if you're gonna be saying claims like that, like, oh, I'm gonna make them, okay, well, you better get that checkbook out, big guy, because it's gonna cost you. Boxing is very different than MMA. You see this all the time. You see people who are successful in other ventures, other endeavors. They come to boxing because they see the wild, wild west. They see opportunity, and like, hey, I can change the game. There's so many things wrong here. 50 Cent, Jay-Z, you name it, whatever.
Rockefeller Boxing. I was at that first show at MSG. Rihanna was there. Freaking talk about distracting, counting punches when you're right looking across you as Rihanna. They failed.
Yeah, fail. They all do. They all do. Listen, you cannot past successes will not guarantee future successes, and that's what these guys do. They're good at this, and I'm going to go over here and do it over there. Good luck, man.
They'll
this
squash
is
it. Like top
the
rank.
boxing fraternity is deep.
Yeah, it's like the mafia, man. It's like scary. Like a new guy comes in.
It's like the Illuminati. Actually,
that's what it is. That's
the Illuminati.
It really is. It really is, because like if they come in like Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum hate each other. Bob Arum and Al Heyman hate each other. I'm sure Al Heyman hates Eddie Hearn, but they will come together and find a common foe in the newest guy on the block, whether it's 50 Cent, whether it's Jay-Z, whether it's whatever. And,
your enemy is my enemy.
Right. So if they see Dana White coming into boxing on his high horse, they're going to look and kick him right off of that thing. A coalition will become friends, so we don't have to deal with one more person trying to get a piece of the pie, because that's what it all is. And obviously this is Dana White just making headlines. I feel like he's trying to distract from the power slap failing, distract from Ngannou or whatever, even though UFC is doing great. Like UFC's like, I'm not going to sit here and say he's a bad promoter, like, because he's awesome at his job at being the president of the UFC. Like the boxing stuff is just so beat down. Like every argument has been argued to like down to a nub. Like we know that the fighters, it's almost two different sports. Like the fighter pay it's two different sports. It's not even worth getting into. So I'm shocked that he would bring this up again, because it's just not going to make any inroads. Like you don't have any fighters, you don't have a network. What are you going to do? Like
it's ego. It's ego and it's hubris. The power slap you try to eventually have failed. So let's circle back to boxing. Let's see if we can try it again. We'll see. It'll probably end the way the last venture ended. Ends before it even takes off.
Right, I agree. Boxing's fine without Dana White in here. Let me enjoy UFC and run that. Like keep it going. All right, that's it. Good fights this weekend. Can't wait. I hope everyone enjoys them. We'll be back with a recap episode either right after the fight or Monday or even Sunday. One of those three options. We'll have something on the YouTube page after this fight. Chris is going with Benavidez 9th round. Is that what you said?
9. Yep, 9.
And I am gonna go with Benavidez, and I think I'm gonna take that over of 9.5. But you'll have my official picks. I gotta check out my Twitter page when I post them with DraftKings. All right, Chris. Have a great weekend. What do you got planned this weekend?
Watching fights.
That's it. Cooking anything?
Yeah, always cooking. I mean, cooking and watching fights go hand in hand in my house.
That sounds awesome. I'm coming to Florida one of these days.
Wait, come on down, man. We'll pot all over. We'll pot all over the gyms down here and eat some great food.
That would be
Get some
sick.
sun. You need some sun, dude. You really do.
I am pale.
You need some sun.
Someone else said that to me in the office. I was like, all right, enough. It's freaking. What do you want? It's March. Like, we'll get sun in Vegas and we go to Ryan Tank.
Yes.
Even though we're gonna be running around like crazy.
Will it be pool season yet? Can we get a little pool
It's already
time?
pool season. My buddies are out there that live in Vegas. It's pool season already. Opening day for that was like a month ago. MGM or whatever pool is there.
Nice.
We'll get some sun. All right, man. Have a good weekend. As always, keep your hands up. Protect yourselves at all times. Stay out of DMs unless Caleb Plant DMs you. We out.